Hey YouTube, this is Mr. Muffinman the First. Just thought I'd bring you a deck list. I know that it's meant to be G89cc bringing deck list, me doing deck analysis, but this particular deck list there's not much one to really analyse, as it works how it works. It's no TK deck, as you'll see in the title. So there's not really much more I can go into other than explaining the cards themselves. So we get straight onto the deck list. You got, by the way, this is a morphing OTK deck. I'll explain the strategy into the deck later after I finish this. So we got one Sangan, one morphing 1, 3 needleworm, 3 giant rat, 2 morphing. Right, that's all your monsters. You'll notice there's what, 10? Yeah, 10 monsters. So not a very high monster count, but that's all you need. Next up, you got your spells: 3 Book of Eclipse, 3 Book of Moon, 3 Feather of Phoenix, 3 Book of Tayu, 3 Shallow Grave, 2 Magical Stone Excavation, 2 Upstart Goblin, 1 Foolish, 1 level 1 area, B, card destruction, 1 hand destruction, 1 spell reproduction, 1 magical mallet. Finally onto the traps. You'll notice that had a high spell count. That's the spells are basically the engine of the deck. Finally onto the traps, you've got 2 Threatening Roars for the defense, 2 Desert Sunlight to assist in the main deck card, and Gravity Bind for stall. So the simple deck strategy is to try and summon out your Morphing 1, preferably. Your Morphing 1's your main preference. So main idea is you want to summon your Morphing 1. So and then use your spells to basically loop with your Morphing 1, using Book of Moon, Book of Tayu, Book of Eclipses. Basically you wanted to flip it down, flip it up, and then refresh your hand, and basically keep doing that and deck your opponent out. The reason that it works is you can at a later date use Shallow Graves. Let's see, you can use your Shallow Graves to bring back your, either that if it's been sent to the graveyard before, or your Needleworms. Your Giant Rats are there along with Sangan to get your Morphing straight out. To get your Morphing straight out. You've got to replay your spells and traps. You can play. Let's see. You've got 3 Feather of Phoenix. Oops, sorry. There's 2 Magical Stone Excavation and a spell reproduction. Idea being, keep playing them. You don't really care about your discards, because at the end of the day you discard, you get the card you need back, you can replenish your hand, so you don't really care about the whole discard card. With Feather of Phoenix especially, you can discard, set up for when you flip this monster up, or at bare minimum you can start gobbling it back out. Your card destruction, so it's just to help speed things along. Another card that's you'll know why it's in the Book of Eclipse. It's simply because it flips all your monsters down, which is good. So it's like you're playing 6 Book of Moons. One other thing that's really good about it is you can play it and then go through your loop, playing Shallow Graves and whatnot, and at the end of the turn, all your opponent's got to draw 1 card for every card monster that they've got set, basically. So it can be quite frequently that is the card that decks people out, because you get your loop, they've got a couple of cards left, you've made them bring monsters back with Shallow Grave, whatnot, or they've had monsters there in the first place, and then they've all got to flip up, your opponent's got to draw and whatnot. Finally, you can finish off a turn with a bunch of set cards. Like I say, quite frequently you'll be playing Shallow Grave over and over again to bring these back, and then you can Desert Sunlight them to flip. You've called the order of effects, so you use your Needleworm effects to nuke the opponent's deck and then make them draw out and lose. So yeah, the deck's really good. I ran it a very long time ago, and I kept getting calls to rebuild it and use it. So yeah, that's why I rebuilt it. Took it to a hobby league last week, so not a high event, but got semi-final. Lost because it was gadgets with Banisher Radiance in. Naturally, some of Banisher Radiance I lost, although I did win one at matches. They weren't very amused about the fact that I beat them with Book of Eclipse, strangely enough. But then they had to leave, so I got to the final and lost to the same guy I'd lost to earlier. But yeah, like I say, it's a good deck, despite the fact that you only use 10 monsters. Most of them monsters actually focus on returning your Morphing Jar 1 back to you, getting Morphing Jar 1 back out. So they're really good in that sense. So it's, other than your Needleworm, all your other cards can, in some respect, get you a Morphing Jar 1 out. So essentially you're running 7 searches, plus you can use your Foolish Burial to get it to the graveyard and Shower Grave it back out. You're essentially running 3 Monster Reborns, but for the deck strategy itself. So it's a really good card to play, and it's generally really quite good. The Magical Mallets are there just to try and keep the combo alive, and like I say, try it out. The deck in itself is really cheap to make. The entire deck can be got in common. The entire deck itself can be got in common. You know, if you look, you can get every card here in common, and so it's not very expensive to make. The Magical Stones and the Book of Moons are a bit hard to come by, but most people have them in the staple collection, so you should already have them. And other than that, it's just little odd pieces that if you go to newer players, they might have brought the common collection and got them. So yeah, it's a cheap deck to make. OTK deck, really quite fun. Well, it's an OTK deck, so they're as fun to play as you enjoy running OTK decks. So not the most fun, but still, it's quite funny to watch people get decked out. You know, bringing back an old win condition. So anyway, that's the OTK deck that I've been getting requests to show. Like I say, there's no analysis going up for it because at the end of the day, it's just an OTK deck. It works how it works. There's changes you can make to it to run it. This isn't the be-all end-all version of this deck, but it's a very good version, even if I do say so myself. I'm not the original innovator of the deck. The original innovator, to my knowledge, I got off of I can't remember his name, but I got it off of a metagame feature match. Unfortunately, metagame's now down, so I can't find out who that was. I saw the feature match, so I based my deck off of that, off the idea of using Book of Eclipse as a Morphing Jar and Book of Tayu to loop. So yeah, that's where I got the inspiration from. The actual build itself is my build though. So anyway, that's the deck, so later.